Page 234, starting lesson 4.1, is on using graphs to relate two quantities. So if we look at the top of the page, we have graphs that are relating the height of the water to the volume of the water in each container. The question is, which graph goes with which container, and justify your reasoning. So if we look at these, analyze them a little bit, eventually we'll be able to hopefully come up with the conclusion on this. This first graph, you can see the height's going up and the volume's going up, and then this end part here, the height's not going up very much and the volume's going up more. So it's not, basically the volume's increasing more rapidly than the height, you could kind of say. So that's going to match up with this third container. The second graph is going to go with the first container. Kind of comparing the second and the third ones, you can see the second one compared to the third one, the height's not going up as much and the volume's going up quicker. So since it's wider, the volume's increasing quicker, even though the height, we're not getting quite as high as we go. And then this third one would go with the second container because the height has to go up more in order for us to increase our volume. So when we look at these, the book mentions here about how graphs visually represent a relationship between two variable quantities. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. Either they're going to give us a graph and we're going to analyze it, or they're going to give us a situation and they're going to say, draw a graph to represent this situation. So if you look at problem 1, the graph shows the volume of air in a balloon as you blow it up until it pops. What are the variables? Describe how the variables are related at various points on the graph. So you can see here, just by looking at the graph, they've given us the variables here. The variables are volume and time. And what's happening at the beginning is the volume's increasing. And then notice these little sections that go straight across. And so what's happening at those points is the volume is staying the same. Time keeps going, but the volume stayed the same. So that's where they're holding the balloon shut, but they have to take a breath before they can blow into the balloon again. And then you can see at the end here, I don't know if this would be quite instantaneous, but pretty quickly the volume's going down to 0 whenever the balloon pops. So if we look at the got it, they're giving us some similar questions. What are the variables? Describe how the variables are related at various points on the graph. So we're going to tell what the variables are and then kind of give a story about what's happening here. So for part A, our variables are length and time. So this is kind of an illustration about if we were cutting a board. And so what's happening is the length is staying the same for a little bit while we're trying to cut off a piece. And then once we cut off a piece, right when we cut off a piece, then the length goes down for the length of the board that's remaining anyway. That's getting shorter because we cut off part of the board. So we could say something like the length stays the same until a piece is cut off the board, then the board gets shorter. So part B, we're looking at cell phone costs. And what's happening here is the beginning part here, the minutes are increasing, but the cost stays the same. And then we get to a point, and then the cost starts going up. This is something you may not be familiar with. It was more familiar maybe 5 or 10 years ago or so. But this is where you would have a set plan that covered so many minutes. So your plan costs this much as long as you use this many minutes or less. If you use more than that, then you'd start having pretty expensive fees for however many minutes you went over the plan. So the variables on this problem are the minutes of calls and the cost. And the cost remains constant until the minutes allowed on the plan are exceeded. Then the cost increases after they go over on minutes. Okay, and this you could maybe talk to your parents or grandparents. I don't. It's a history lesson for you maybe at this point, but these plans you had combined plans, like kind of friends and family plans or something, where you were on with other people, and so you had to guess how many minutes that you were going to need to use for a month. So the next thing talks about how tables and graphs can both show a relationship between variables. So data from a table are often displayed using a graph to visually represent a relationship. So like if we're looking at problem 2, if we look at this graph, that may not mean that much to us, but if we can, look at this table, may not mean that much to us, but if we take the information from the table and plot these points on a graph, that's more visual. It's going to make it easier for us to tell what's happening. So problem 2, a band allowed fans to download its new video from its website. Table shows the number of downloads after 1, 2, 3, and 4 days. Which graph could represent the data shown in the table? So kind of what we're doing is looking at, as the days go up, kind of look what's happening here with the total downloads. So that's going to best match with graph B, because it's just really increasing more and more as we go along. So the graph that keeps increasing the downloads more and more would be this one, graph B. And there it just kind of explains that. So got it too, similar to that. The table shows the amount of sunscreen left in a can based on the number of times the sunscreen has been used. Which graph could represent the data shown in the table? So for this, you might notice the amount of sunscreen is decreasing. It's actually decreasing at a constant rate. We're losing 0.2 of an ounce for every time we use it. So one thing is, since it's a constant rate, we should have a straight line. Also, it's not going down very quickly. So pretty much a straight line, not going down very quickly. That would be choice C. So a little bit of vocabulary here before we get going with the next part. Dependent variables and independent variables we'll talk about. So dependent is on the y-axis, and when we're deciding on making our own graph on the y-axis, we're going to put what we want to see changes in. Those are also called outputs, and then the range is the possible y values that we could have. Independent variable is on the x-axis. Those are inputs. So it's kind of like a function machine, they say sometimes. You put something in, you get something out. So you put in an x, and then you see what y value that gives you. And that's domain, is the possible x values that we could have. And something to help you remember what some of these are, I made an observation at one point that we have independent, we have inputs, and we have domain all have IN in them. So that's kind of a coincidence. Anyway, those things we'll be talking about, and hopefully as we go through we'll clear up what exactly that all means. So if we look at this, problem 3, they want us to sketch a graph. So they're giving us information and they're saying sketch out what's happening. So model rocket quickly rises quickly and then slows to a stop as its fuel burns out. It begins to fall quickly till the parachute opens, after which it falls slowly back to Earth. What sketch of a graph could represent the height of the rocket during its flight? Label each section. So height obviously is going to be one of our variables. The other variable is time. Time is going to be a variable a lot of times on these problems, and time, almost always, time is going to be on the x-axis. Time keeps moving no matter what, and then it's just what's happening otherwise. In this case also, we want to see the change in the height of the rocket, so that's why we're making that on the y-axis for sure. So you can see they sketched it out, rising quickly, stopping, and then falling, and then the parachute opens, and then it's more gradual that it's falling slowly and at a constant rate. So the got it says, suppose you start to swing yourself on a playground swing. You move back and forth to swing higher in the air, then you slowly swing to a stop. What sketch of a graph could represent how your height from the ground might change over time? Label each section. So we could sketch something out with this. Again, it's going to be very similar. We could have a time, and we could have, we could say height. Another way, we could say distance from the ground. Probably either one of those would be okay. They didn't really give us units. I mean, we could say time in seconds. We could say distance from the ground in feet if you want to use units. This is kind of just a general sketch of what's happening. So kind of depending what our reference point is here, if the reference point is like the bottom of the swing, we're actually starting off the ground a little bit, so we're not starting right at 0, 0. And then starting out, so we'll have our distance from the ground will go up a little bit. Okay, we swing up in the air, and then we come back to that point where the swing was. We'll be at the same height where we were, and then it'll go up again, and then we'll get back to where we were, and then we start swinging a little bit higher and higher, maybe higher again. Okay, and so kind of this is our starting. If we're labeling this, this is our starting out, however you want to say that. This point, maybe that's our maximum height. That's the highest we're going to go. I'm kind of getting off here. These should be all going down to the same level, if you guys can understand that. Just didn't draw a line across. Okay, and understand that's like an imaginary line there. That's where the swing would normally be. And then we start slowing down. Recess is over, so time to get off the swing. And then eventually we finally come to a stop. Okay, so again, this line here, I'll make it a blue line. That's really not there. That's just kind of so I didn't do it from the start, but that making sure we're staying at the same Y value for where the swing is originally. Part B says if you jumped from the swing instead of slowly swinging, how would the graph be different? So not advisable, but what would happen there is that we would just really quickly get back to that point of being on the ground. So maybe, hopefully not from our maximum height, but maybe somewhere in here, it would just be a quicker getting back to that ground level point, basically. So lesson check number 1, what are the variables in the graph at the right? Use the graph to describe how the variables are related. So the variables, we can just look from the graph. So our variables are fuel used and car weight. And then we're going to look at the graph to tell how these are related. So looking what happens with this, basically the heavier the car, the more fuel is used. And remember, going back to earlier, we talked about like independent and dependent. So the y-axis is dependent. So the fuel used depends on how much the car weighs. It doesn't really go the other way. We don't really say, if we use more fuel, well, it kind of can go that way too. We could say if you use more fuel, you have a heavier car maybe. And it's not necessarily, it has to do with other things. There's a lot of other variables besides just how heavy your car is on what the fuel economy is. But it's kind of a generalization here. So we'll look at number 3. It says match one of the labeled segments on the graph with each of the following verbal descriptions: rising slowly, constant, falling quickly. So rising slowly, if we look for something going up slowly on the graph, the slowest we have looks like B. Constant is going to be C. It's just going straight across. And falling quickly would be D. They didn't give us verbal descriptions for these, but A, we could say rising quickly, and E, we could say falling slowly. So this gives you an idea about using graphs to relate two quantities.